The sky above Seoul was unusually dark that evening, the stars hidden behind thick clouds. Jae-ho sat cross-legged on the rooftop of his small garage, sipping instant coffee from a chipped mug. His hands were stained with grease, but he didn't mind. Fixing cars was what kept him going, even if life hadn't been kind to him lately. He sighed and leaned back, staring at the empty sky. Suddenly, a bright light pierced through the clouds. It wasn't like any airplane or satellite he'd ever seen. The light grew brighter, almost blinding, and then it stopped moving altogether. Jae-ho squinted, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Before he could react, the ground beneath him trembled slightly, and an enormous shadow loomed over the city. A massive spaceship descended slowly, its surface gleaming like polished silver. It hovered silently above the tallest buildings, casting a strange glow over the streets below. People screamed and ran for cover, unsure whether this was an invasion or something else entirely. But Jae-ho stayed where he was, frozen in awe. Within moments, smaller ships detached from the main vessel, descending toward different parts of the city. One of them landed right in front of Jae-ho's garage, kicking up dust and debris. The door slid open, revealing two towering figures clad in shimmering armor. Their skin was pale blue, their eyes glowed faintly, and they carried an air of authority that made Jae-ho feel small and insignificant. Jae-ho, one of them said, pronouncing his name perfectly despite never having met him before. "You are required." Jae-ho blinked, confused. "What? Me? Why?" "There is no time for explanations," the second figure replied curtly. "Come with us." Before he could protest, they grabbed him by the arms, not roughly, but firmly enough to leave no room for argument, and pulled him into the ship. The door closed behind them with a soft hiss, sealing him inside. Inside the ship, everything was sleek and futuristic. The walls seemed to pulse with light, and the air smelled metallic yet clean. Jae-ho stumbled as the floor vibrated beneath his feet, realizing they were already ascending. He tried to ask questions, but the aliens ignored him, focusing instead on glowing panels embedded in the walls. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the ship docked with the larger vessel hovering above Earth. Jae-ho stepped out cautiously, his heart pounding. What he saw next took his breath away. The interior of the massive ship was unlike anything he'd ever imagined. It looked like a floating city, complete with towering spires, bustling corridors, and gardens filled with plants that glowed softly. Strange creatures moved about, some humanoid, others not so much. Some had fur, others scales. Some walked on two legs, while others floated effortlessly. Jae-ho followed the two guards down a wide hallway lined with golden arches. They stopped outside a set of double doors that opened automatically as they approached. Inside, a group of aliens sat around a circular table, their expressions unreadable. At the center of the room stood a young woman with long, flowing hair and regal posture. Her presence commanded attention, and Jae-ho immediately knew she was important. And beside her stood a man who looked strikingly similar, her brother, perhaps, but his expression was colder, more guarded. "Welcome, human," the woman said, her voice calm but firm. "I am Princess Yoon-Sol of the Valith Dominion. This is my brother, Lord Kyung-min." Jae-ho swallowed hard. Hi. I'm Jae-ho. Can someone tell me why I'm here?" Yoon-Sol exchanged a glance with her brother before turning back to Jae-ho. "You have been chosen to serve as our companion during our diplomatic mission to your planet." "Companion?" Jae-ho repeated, baffled. "Why me? I'm just a mechanic." "Our scans indicated that you possess unique qualities," Kyung-min interjected, his tone skeptical. "Qualities we believe may aid in bridging the cultural gap between our species." Jae-ho scratched the back of his head, feeling out of place. "Look, and I don't know what kind of qualities you're talking about, but I'm not exactly ambassador material." "You will learn," Yun-Sol said simply. "We leave shortly. Prepare yourself." Over the next few days, Jae-ho struggled to adapt to life aboard the alien ship. Everything was foreign to him: the food, the language, the customs. The Valith treated him politely but distantly, as though he were a curiosity rather than a person. He spent most of his time observing, trying to piece together how things worked. One day, while wandering aimlessly through the ship, he stumbled upon Yun-Sol sitting alone in a quiet garden. She appeared deep in thought, her fingers tracing patterns on the surface of a glowing flower. Feeling bold, Jae-ho approached her. "Mind if I join you?" he asked hesitantly. She looked up, surprised but not displeased. "If you wish." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the hum of the ship and the soft rustling of leaves. Finally, Jae-ho broke the silence. "So, why did you really pick me? There must have been smarter people to choose from." Yun-Sol studied him for a moment before answering. "Our technology detected your unpredictability. Humans are chaotic beings, driven by emotion rather than logic. We hoped someone like you might offer insights we lack." Jae-ho chuckled nervously. "Unpredictable, huh? Yeah, I guess that fits." Despite himself, he found himself warming up to Yun-Sol. She wasn't as intimidating as she first seemed, and there was a quiet vulnerability beneath her regal exterior. Over time, they began talking more often, sharing bits and pieces of their lives. However, Kyung-min remained distant and watching Jae-ho with suspicion. "Do not trust him too easily, sister," he warned one day. "Humans are cunning. He may betray us." Yun-Sol dismissed his concerns, though Jae-ho couldn't help but feel uneasy. He knew he had to prove himself somehow, to show them he wasn't just another pawn in their grand plan. The opportunity came sooner than expected. During a formal gathering aboard the ship, Jae-ho found himself standing awkwardly among a crowd of alien dignitaries. Everyone was speaking in hushed tones, exchanging pleasantries in languages he didn't understand. Feeling out of place, he reached for a drink on a nearby table, unaware that it was meant as an offering to the royal family. When he raised the glass to his lips, gasps echoed through the room. Kyung-min's eyes narrowed dangerously, and even Yun-Sol looked shocked. At realizing his mistake, Jae-ho quickly lowered the glass, stammering an apology. I didn't mean to." "This is unacceptable," one of the dignitaries exclaimed, pointing an accusatory finger at him. To everyone's surprise, Yun-Sol stepped forward, shielding Jae-ho with her body. "It was an honest error," she said firmly. "He is unfamiliar with our customs. Let us move past this." Her defense silenced the room, but the tension lingered. Later, as they walked away from the gathering, Kyung-min confronted Jae-ho. "You nearly caused a scandal today," he growled. "Be more careful." Jae-ho nodded, feeling ashamed. But as he glanced at Yun-Sol, he noticed a flicker of amusement in her eyes. For the first time since arriving, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he belonged here. The next morning, Jae-ho woke up feeling groggy but determined. After the embarrassing incident at the formal gathering, he decided he needed to step up his game. He couldn't keep making mistakes if he wanted to prove himself, not just to the Valith royals, but to everyone else on the ship who doubted him. As he wandered through the corridors, trying to find something productive to do, he stumbled upon Princess Yun-Sol, working on a small device in one of the quieter sections of the ship. She looked frustrated, her brow furrowed as she fiddled with wires that glowed faintly. Jae-ho hesitated for a moment before approaching her. "Need some help?" he asked cautiously. Yun-Sol glanced up, surprised to see him. "This is a delicate piece of technology," she said, holding up the device. "It regulates energy flow within the ship's systems. It malfunctioned last night, and I've been trying to repair it." Jae-ho nodded slowly. "Mind if I take a look? I'm pretty good with machines." She raised an eyebrow, skeptical but willing to give him a chance. Very well, but be careful. He knelt beside her, examining the device closely. To his surprise, the problem wasn't too different from fixing a car engine back home. The wires were crossed, causing an overload in the system. With steady hands, he untangled the mess and reconnected them properly. Within minutes, the device hummed softly, its glow returning to normal. Yun-Sol stared at him, clearly impressed. How did you know what to do? It's kind of like fixing a car, Jae-ho explained with a shrug. Same principles, just fancier parts. Her lips curved into a small smile. You are full of surprises, aren't you? From that day on, their bond grew stronger. Yun-Sol began seeking out Jae-ho's advice on various technical issues, valuing his practical approach to problem-solving. In return, she taught him about Valith culture, sharing stories about her childhood and the pressures of royal life. For the first time since arriving, Jae-ho felt like he was contributing something meaningful. Meanwhile, Lord Kyung-min remained wary of Jae-ho's presence. He watched the growing friendship between his sister and the human with unease, convinced that Jae-ho's unpredictable nature would lead to trouble. One evening, while walking through the ship's observation deck, Kyung-min confronted Jae-ho directly. You seem to have won my sister's trust, Kyung-min said, his tone icy. But let me make one thing clear. If you harm her in any way, I will hold you accountable. Jae-ho met his gaze steadily. I don't plan on hurting anyone, especially not Yun-Sol. She's been nothing but kind to me. Kyung-min narrowed his eyes. Kindness can be exploited. Do not mistake her generosity for weakness. Before Jae-ho could respond, an alarm blared throughout the ship, cutting off their conversation. Red lights flashed along the walls, and crew members rushed past them, shouting orders in their native language. Confused, Jae-ho turned to Kyung-min. What's going on? We're under attack, Kyung-min replied grimly. Follow me. The source of the attack became clear once they reached the command center. A rival faction within the Valith Dominion had launched a surprise assault on their ship, accusing the royal family of showing favoritism toward humans. The attackers aimed to capture or destroy the vessel, viewing it as a threat to their power. The chaos erupted as the crew scrambled to defend themselves. Explosions rocked the ship, sending debris flying through the air. Jae-ho clung to a nearby railing, heart racing as he realized how dire the situation was. Stay close, Kyung-min shouted, pulling Jae-ho toward safety. But Jae-ho refused to cower. Instead, he ran toward the engineering bay, remembering the layout of the ship from his earlier explorations. If he could reach the main control panel, he might be able to reroute power to the shields, giving the crew a fighting chance. When he arrived, he found Yun-Sol already there, frantically working to stabilize the ship's systems. Her face lit up with relief when she saw him. I knew you'd come, she said, handing him a tool. Help me divert energy to the shields. Working together, they managed to reinforce the ship's defenses just as another wave of enemy fire struck. The impact shook the entire vessel, but the shields held firm. Cheers erupted from the crew as the attackers retreated, realizing they couldn't breach the enhanced defenses. After the battle, tensions aboard the ship simmered down, though the underlying conflict remained unresolved. Jae-ho's actions during the crisis earned him newfound respect from many of the crew members, including Kyung-min. Though the Lord still harbored doubts about humans, he couldn't deny Jae-ho's bravery and resourcefulness. In the days that followed, the group traveled to a neutral planet hosting intergalactic peace talks. Representatives from dozens of alien species gathered in a massive arena, each hoping to resolve long-standing disputes and form alliances. Then Jae-ho accompanied Yun-Sol and Kyung-min, eager to see how diplomacy worked on such a grand scale. At first, he felt out of place among the towering aliens and strange customs. But soon, his natural charm and quick wit began to shine through. During heated debates, he stepped in to mediate, using humor and empathy to diffuse tense situations. His unconventional methods caught the attention of other diplomats who admired his ability to bridge cultural gaps. One particularly memorable moment occurred when two rival factions nearly came to blows over territorial claims. Jae-ho intervened, suggesting a compromise that satisfied both sides. The crowd erupted in applause, and even Eun-sol gave him a proud nod. "You truly are remarkable," she told him later, her voice filled with admiration. No one else could have done what you did today." Jae-ho grinned sheepishly. "Guess I'm starting to get the hang of this whole diplomacy thing." Despite his growing confidence, Jae-ho couldn't shake the feeling that trouble was brewing. Back on the ship, whispers of dissent spread among the crew. Some accused the royal family of prioritizing humanity over their own people, fueling resentment toward Jae-ho. He tried to ignore the hostility, focusing instead on helping Eun-sol and Kyung-min navigate the challenges ahead. But deep down, he knew the real test was yet to come. As the Valith ship prepared to leave the neutral planet, Jae-ho gazed out at the stars, wondering what dangers awaited them next. Whatever happened, he vowed to stand by Eun-sol and Kyung-min, no matter the cost. The Valith ship sailed through the vastness of space, on its journey taking it closer to the heart of the Dominion's empire. For Jae-ho, the days blurred together as he adjusted to life among the stars. Though he had proven himself during the peace talks, whispers of discontent still lingered among the crew. Some viewed him as an outsider who didn't belong, while others admired his resourcefulness and humor. Despite the mixed reactions, Jae-ho focused on building stronger bonds with Eun-sol and Kyung-min, knowing their trust was essential for surviving whatever challenges lay ahead. One evening, as the ship passed through a nebula that painted the observation deck in hues of purple and gold, Jae-ho found Eun-sol standing alone by the glass, gazing at the swirling colors. Her expression was distant, almost melancholic. He approached her quietly, not wanting to startle her. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said before he could speak, her voice soft but tinged with sadness. Jae-ho nodded, leaning against the railing beside her. "Yeah, it's amazing, but you don't look like someone enjoying the view." Eun-sol sighed, turning to face him. "Being royalty comes with a price. There are expectations I must meet, responsibilities I cannot ignore. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever truly be free." Her words struck a chord with Jae-ho. He understood what it meant to feel trapped, though his struggles were far less grandiose. Growing up in Seoul, he'd often dreamed of escaping the monotony of fixing cars and living paycheck to paycheck. But now, standing among the stars, he realized freedom wasn't about running away. It was about finding purpose. "You don't have to carry everything alone," he said gently. "Even royals need friends, all right?" A faint smile crossed her lips. "Perhaps you're right. It's comforting to know there's someone I can rely on." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of footsteps behind them. Kyung-min appeared, his usual stern demeanor softened slightly. "Sister, we need to discuss our next move. The council grows restless." Eun-sol straightened, her regal mask slipping back into place. "Very well. Let's go." The meeting took place in the war room, a cavernous chamber filled with holographic displays and tactical maps. Council members projected their images from across the galaxy, their faces flickering like ghostly apparitions. They debated heatedly, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of accusations and demands. "The humans are unpredictable," one counselor exclaimed. "Yeah, what guarantee do we have that they won't turn against us?" "They've shown no hostility," Eun-sol countered calmly. "If anything, they've demonstrated remarkable adaptability and ingenuity. And yet, you allow this mechanic to influence our decisions," another snapped, glaring at Jae-ho. "He is nothing more than a primitive creature, Jae-ho clenched his fists, but forced himself to remain silent. He knew losing his temper wouldn't help. Instead, he let Yoon-sol handle the situation, trusting her ability to defend him. Jae-ho has proven his worth time and again, she said firmly. Without him, we would not have survived the recent attack. His presence benefits us all. Kyung-min stepped forward, surprising everyone. I agree. While I initially doubted him, Jae-ho has earned my respect. How we should consider his input moving forward. The council fell silent, shocked by Kyung-min's unexpected support. Though reluctant, they eventually agreed to continue working with humanity. For now. As the group traveled deeper into Dominion territory, tensions aboard the ship began to rise. Rumors spread of a secret faction plotting to overthrow the royal family and seize control of the empire. Jae-ho overheard snippets of conversations among the crew, enough to piece together the truth. Someone close to the royals was feeding information to the conspirators. Determined to protect Yoon-sol and Kyung-min, Jae-ho decided to investigate. Using his knowledge of the ship's layout, he explored hidden corners and maintenance tunnels, searching for clues. One night, he discovered a suspicious data stream being transmitted from a restricted area. Then following the signal, he arrived at a sealed door marked with warning signs. Hesitating only briefly, he used his tools to bypass the lock and slipped inside. The room was dimly lit, filled with humming servers and blinking lights. In the center stood a lone figure, hunched over a console. It was Commander Liren, one of the highest-ranking officers aboard the ship. "What are you doing here?" Liren demanded, spinning around to face him. "I could ask you the same thing," Jae-ho replied, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "Who are you sending messages to?" Liren sneered. "You wouldn't understand, human. You're just a pawn in a game far beyond your comprehension." Before Jae-ho could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The door slammed shut behind him, trapping him inside with Liren. Realizing he was in serious trouble, Jae-ho acted quickly. He grabbed a nearby wrench and lunged at Liren, disarming him in a flurry of movement. The two struggled, but Jae-ho's determination gave him the upper hand. With a final shove, he knocked Liren unconscious and secured the room. When Aun-sol and Kyung-min arrived moments later, they found Jae-ho standing triumphantly beside the downed commander. He explained what had happened, showing them the incriminating evidence stored on the console. Liren had been leaking classified information to the conspirators, planning to betray the royal family and seize power. "This changes everything," Kyung-min said grimly. "We must act swiftly to root out the traitors." Yoon-sol placed a hand on Jae-ho's shoulder, gratitude shining in her eyes. "You risked your life for us. Why?" "Because you trusted me when no one else did," he replied simply. "I couldn't let you down." In the days that followed, the crew worked tirelessly to identify and neutralize the conspirators. Thanks to Jae-ho's discovery, they managed to dismantle the plot before it could escalate further. Morale improved as the crew rallied around the royal family, united in their resolve to protect the empire. For Jae-ho, the experience solidified his place among the Vaylith. No longer seen as an outsider, he became a valued member of their team. Even those who once distrusted him began to see his worth, acknowledging his contributions to their survival. As the ship approached the Dominion's homeworld, Jae-ho felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He knew the challenges ahead would test him in ways he couldn't imagine. But with Yoon-sol and Kyung-min by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Standing on the observation deck, he watched as the planet grew larger in the viewport. Its surface shimmered with vibrant colors, a testament to the advanced civilization that called it home. Though daunting, it also held promise, a chance to forge a brighter future for both humans and aliens alike. "We'll get through this," Yoon-sol said, joining him at the railing. "Together." Jae-ho smiled, feeling a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in years. "Yeah. Together." The Valith ship descended through the atmosphere of the Dominion's homeworld, a planet teeming with towering cities and sprawling landscapes that shimmered under twin suns. For Jeho, stepping onto this alien soil felt surreal. The air smelled faintly metallic. Oh, and the sky glowed with hues of orange and purple. Despite the beauty around him, tension hung heavy in the air. The royal family's arrival had sparked both excitement and unease among the populace, especially after news of the conspiracy spread. Yun-Sol and Kyung-min led the way as they disembarked, their expressions calm but guarded. Jeho followed closely behind, feeling out of place amidst the sea of blue-skinned aliens who stared at him with curiosity or disdain. Some whispered amongst themselves, their glowing eyes narrowing as they assessed the human accompanying their rulers. "Stay close," Kyung-min muttered to Jeho, his tone sharp. "Not everyone here will welcome you." Jeho nodded, gripping his bag tightly. He knew he was walking into dangerous territory, but he couldn't back down now, or not when so much depended on proving humanity's worth. Over the next few days, Yun-Sol and Kyung-min were swept up in meetings with high-ranking officials and members of the council. Jeho stayed in the background, observing the intricate politics of the Dominion. It didn't take long for him to realize how fragile the situation was. Many nobles resented the royals' decision to ally with humans, viewing it as a betrayal of their species' purity and superiority. One evening, while wandering through the palace gardens, Jeho encountered an elderly Valith woman tending to glowing plants. Her skin was lighter than most, her hair streaked with silver. She glanced up as he approached, her eyes soft yet piercing. "You are the human companion," she said, her voice gentle. "Tell me, what brings you here?" Caught off guard by her directness, Jeho hesitated before answering. I guess I'm here because they thought I could help bridge the gap between our species." She chuckled softly. "Bridge the gap? Such a task requires more than technical skill or bravery. It demands understanding and sacrifice." Her words lingered in his mind long after their conversation ended. That night, as he lay awake in his quarters, Jeho couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to happen. His instincts had rarely been wrong, and right now, they screamed danger. The following morning, chaos erupted in the palace. Armed guards stormed into Jeho's room, dragging him out before he could react. They brought him before the council, where dozens of glowing faces turned toward him with hostility. "This human is a threat to our empire," one counselor declared, pointing an accusing finger at Jeho. "His presence weakens us, making us vulnerable to our enemies." Others chimed in, their voices rising in anger. "He must be punished." Yun-Sol stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "Enough! Jeho has done nothing wrong. He has proven himself time and again." But even her authority wasn't enough to quell the fury boiling over. One particularly vocal counselor slammed his fist on the table. "Your attachment to this creature clouds your judgment, princess. You have betrayed your people." Before anyone could respond, another figure entered the chamber. Commander Liren, the traitor Jeho had exposed aboard the ship. Somehow, he had escaped custody and returned to the homeworld, rallying support for his cause. "He speaks the truth," Liren shouted, addressing the crowd. "The royals have grown soft, allowing a primitive human to manipulate them. If we do not act now, our empire will crumble." The council erupted into chaos, shouting accusations and threats. In the confusion, guards seized Jeho, binding his hands and forcing him to his knees. Yun-Sol tried to intervene, but she was held back by her own advisors. "Stop this madness," she demanded, her voice trembling with rage. "You're destroying everything we've worked for." Kyung-min stood frozen, torn between loyalty to his sister and fear of defying the council. For the first time, Jeho saw doubt flicker in his eyes. Hours later, Jeho found himself locked in a cold, dark cell deep beneath the palace. The walls hummed faintly, vibrating with energy that made his skin crawl. Guards patrolled outside, and their glowing weapons casting eerie shadows across the floor. He sat slumped against the wall, trying to stay calm despite the overwhelming sense of despair. "They'll come for you," a voice whispered from the corner. Startled, Jae-ho looked up to see a shadowy figure emerge from the darkness. It was Kyung-min, his expression unreadable. "I don't think anyone's coming for me," Jae-ho replied bitterly. "Guess I should have seen this coming." Kyung-min crouched beside him, lowering his voice. "Listen carefully. My sister is planning a rescue mission, but we need your cooperation." Jae-ho blinked, surprised. "Why would you risk helping me?" "Because you've shown me that sometimes breaking rules is necessary for survival," Kyung-min admitted reluctantly. "And because my sister believes in you. That's enough for me." Before Jae-ho could respond, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Kyung-min quickly slipped away, leaving him alone once more. True to Kyung-min's word, the rescue came swiftly. Late that night, a group of loyal soldiers infiltrated the prison, led by none other than Yoon-sol herself. She cut Jae-ho's bonds with a glowing blade, her eyes blazing with determination. "We're getting you out of here," she said firmly. "No matter what happens, stay close to me." Together, they fought their way through the palace, dodging patrols and disabling security systems. The journey was perilous, but Jae-ho refused to slow them down. Every step fueled his resolve to protect the people who had become his family. When they finally reached the hangar bay, a massive ship awaited them, a sleek vessel designed for speed and stealth. As they boarded, Yoon-sol turned to face Jae-ho, and her expression fierce yet tender. "You've given up so much for us," she said quietly. "Thank you." Jae-ho shook his head. "I haven't given up anything compared to what you've risked for me." As the ship lifted off, leaving the homeworld behind, Jae-ho gazed out the viewport at the receding planet. Flames licked the horizon, evidence of the rebellion spreading across the Dominion. Though they had escaped, he knew the fight was far from over. In the days that followed, the group regrouped aboard a hidden outpost orbiting a distant moon. News of the coup reached them slowly, painting a grim picture of the Empire's descent into chaos. Yet amid the turmoil, hope remained. The seeds of change had been planted thanks to Jae-ho's courage and the royals' willingness to challenge tradition. For the first time since arriving in space, Jae-ho felt truly alive, not just as a mechanic or a diplomat, but as someone capable of shaping the future. Whatever lay ahead, he knew he wouldn't face it alone. The hidden outpost buzzed with activity as the group prepared for their next move. Though safe for now, they knew it was only a matter of time before the rebellion reached them. Yoon-sol paced back and forth in the command center, her mind racing with strategies to reclaim control of the Dominion. Kyung-min stood nearby, his arms crossed tightly, while Jae-ho sat at a console, reviewing data from intercepted communications. "We can't fight this war alone," Yoon-sol said finally, stopping mid-step. "We need allies, both within the Dominion and beyond." Jae-ho glanced up from the screen. "What about Earth? Humanity might not have advanced tech, but we're good at adapting. And if you ask for help, I think people will listen." Yoon-sol hesitated, considering his words. She had always been taught to view humans as inferior, but Jae-ho's actions had shattered that belief. Slowly, she nodded. "It's risky, but it may be our best chance." Kyung-min frowned. "And what makes you think Earth will trust us after everything that's happened?" "They won't trust you," Jae-ho admitted. "But they'll trust me. Let me go back and explain. Once they understand the stakes, they'll step up." After some debate, the royals agreed to let Jae-ho return to Earth. With a small escort ship provided by loyal soldiers, he embarked on the journey home, carrying a message of peace and a plea for unity. When Jae-ho arrived in Seoul, the familiar skyline filled him with a mix of relief and nostalgia. He hadn't been gone long, but it felt like an eternity. News of the alien arrival spread quickly, drawing crowds of curious onlookers to the landing site. Reporters swarmed him with questions, but Jae-ho brushed them aside, focusing on reaching the leaders who could make a difference. He met with government officials in a secure facility, explaining the situation in simple terms. At first, skepticism reigned. Many doubted the sincerity of the Valith royals, fearing another invasion. But Jae-ho's passion and honesty won them over. "This isn't just about saving the Dominion," he told them. "It's about proving that humanity has something valuable to offer, not just strength, but compassion and ingenuity. We can show the galaxy that we're more than they think we are." Moved by his conviction, the leaders agreed to send aid, a fleet of ships equipped with human engineers and medical teams ready to assist the Valith cause. It wasn't much compared to the vast resources of the Dominion, but it was a start. Back aboard the hidden outpost, morale soared when news of Earth's support reached the group. For the first time in weeks, Eun-sol allowed herself a moment of optimism. With Jae-ho leading the human delegation, they devised a plan to confront the rebels directly. The battle took place above a barren moon, its surface scarred by centuries of conflict. Ships clashed in a dazzling display of light and fire, each side fighting fiercely for control. Jae-ho manned a communications station aboard the flagship, coordinating efforts between the Valith forces and the human fleet. "Hold steady!" he shouted into his headset, guiding a damaged cruiser to safety. "We've got reinforcements incoming!" Eun-sol led the charge from the front lines, her ship darting through enemy fire with precision. Beside her, Kyung-min commanded a squadron of fighters, his tactical brilliance turning the tide of the battle. Together, they pushed the rebels back, forcing them to retreat. As the dust settled, Jae-ho joined the royals on the bridge, exhaustion etched on all their faces. Victory hadn't come easily, but it had come nonetheless. "You did it," Eun-sol said softly, placing a hand on Jae-ho's shoulder. "You brought us together." He smiled faintly. "We did it. All of us." In the aftermath of the battle, the Dominion began to heal. Eun-sol ascended to the throne, vowing to reform the empire's rigid caste system and foster equality among all species. Kyung-min dedicated himself to rooting out corruption within the military, inspired by Jae-ho's resilience and determination. For Jae-ho, life changed in ways he never imagined. He became Earth's official ambassador to the stars, traveling between worlds to strengthen alliances and promote peace. Though he missed fixing cars back home, he found joy in bridging gaps between cultures and proving humanity's potential. One evening, as he stood on the observation deck of the royal flagship, gazing at the endless expanse of stars, Eun-sol joined him. They stood side by side in comfortable silence, reflecting on how far they'd come. "What happens now?" Jae-ho asked after a while. "The future is unwritten," Eun-sol replied. "But as long as we keep working together, I believe anything is possible." Jae-ho nodded, feeling a sense of purpose he'd never known before. Out here, among the stars, he wasn't just a mechanic from Seoul. He was a symbol of hope, proof that even the smallest actions could change the course of history.